Hi folks, welcome to the preparedhomestead.com. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's a little echoey. You'll just have to deal with that with this video because this is an exciting video that I have been just wanting to do for a couple of weeks now. I had originally planned to wait till maybe next week to do this, but I just can't wait. Now, not everyone may be super excited about this, but I am, and a lot of people are. I'm going to fill you in on stuff that I've kind of hinted about, kind of talked around over the last week or two about what we are doing here in the local community, our local group. And the reason why I think that this may be of interest to you, not just to kind of keep updated on what we're doing here, but because we're kind of blazing new trails in a lot of ways, especially from a preparedness mindset and really local, charitable community involvement because of something that we have devised and planned for and worked out for about a year, maybe more now, maybe even a year and a half, that we have been working behind the scenes, coming up with this. And I think it's an amazing plan. I think it's very exciting. So today's video may be a little bit longer. I ask that you try to watch the whole thing because there's just a lot of stuff to talk about. And I think it's exciting, and some of you at least, especially those of you that kind of have a local kind of prepper community, homestead community group, whatever it is you want to call it, I think this may be of importance to you, and maybe you can also be replicating something like this. So, to break the ice, yes, I'm in a big garage building shop kind of thing, and you may have seen a little sneak peek over there. This has a fire truck in it. This one has a fire truck. Now, I know all of you are going to be wanting to know what that says. That is not where we're at. That name there is not even near our area. This truck came from that agency a long time ago, so I don't even have a clue where that's at. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So don't even worry about trying to figure that out because you'll know exactly where I'm at. You won't. But anyways, so to start this off, I'll tell you a little bit of background about what we're doing and then explain where I'm at and what that has to do with all this. So many of you know that we have been working on establishing an emergency response team for our group, our local, physical, real-world community. And we have been involved in this community building, our organization, our group, our tribe, our mag, whatever you want to call it, for actually almost 4 years now. This spring, it will be our 4th year. And about a year and a half ago, many of us in the kind of the leadership part of it, we started realizing that there was a lot of really valuable assets like human resources that we had. The people that had amazing backgrounds and skills and could really do a lot when you bring it all together, not just for a group, but for a community. And I'm not just speaking, when I say community, I'm not talking about the prepper community. I'm talking about this area where I live. And so we started putting this idea together that maybe one way for us to kill many birds with one stone, to use probably a bad analogy, is to form an emergency response team. And before I lose you, before you're like, oh, I'm more into the cool tactical prepping stuff. Where's all, are you not caring about that kind of stuff and about, preparing yourselves for the doomsday that's upon us? Yes, it's all part of that. And just hear me out because I think this is an amazing plan. So we have all of these people that have amazing skills. Some of them are former law enforcement, former military, former emergency medical people, former firefighters, American Red Cross instructors, doctors, nurses, just on and on and on. And then there's other people that don't have any of that kind of background, but they desperately want to give back. They desperately want to be involved. And so we formed an emergency response team, and for about the last 6 months, we have been training. A lot of these videos you see me in the morning rucking. Sometimes you see me with other people rucking. That was part of it. We would sometimes go out and do search and rescue training. We've been doing medical training for quite a while now. In fact, we've been hosting medical training for just the physical community around us, the regional community that people could come in. And in the last 2 months, we've certified 37 people right here in this small little community for first aid, CPR, things like that. We're doing training now all the time in that aspect, whether it's medical, we're doing physical training, all kinds of stuff. And we realized that there was a big gap in our area. And this is true in a lot of areas because where we live, it's extremely rural. The whole county, there are no big towns, there's no big government, and I'm not talking about big brother government, I'm just talking about large, agencies. They just don't exist. Not a lot of money. All the fire departments are volunteer, very rural. They're not funded by the state or anything. And even the county level agencies like the sheriff's department and stuff are very small. They're not bad. They just don't have a lot of manpower, a lot of funding, a lot of help. And so that's a very common problem out in these very rural parts. In fact, a lot of people that end up moving like this to kind of homestead, if they've moved from a higher populated, more well-developed area, that's one of the first things they notice, and it's kind of shocking. What? You mean there's not ambulances and fire departments and police officers on every corner to come to my beck and call? What happens if I get hurt or sick or something? Well, sometimes your call times, your wait time is half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, 2, 3 hours sometimes, maybe the next day. And it's not because they're, poorly trained or they're incapable of fulfilling their duties. It's because there's just not enough manpower. And so we come up with this idea of how could we give back to our community, number one. And in doing that, we're shining our light in this world. And so we could come together with the existing experiences and knowledge that we have, and then also add to that and develop this team that we could potentially go out and aid and service in service to the community, helping, emergency medical, fire department, sheriff's departments, things like that. And so we've been working on that very thing and building it out very properly, getting, legitimate certifications so that we look very professional, doing everything as good as we can make it. And so that's been a big aspect of what we're doing. Now, the reason why, obviously, I just said giving back to our community, being a light in this world, making our communities better and safer, but there's also a prepping aspect to it because nearly everything that we are doing, aside from maybe gardening and raising animals, is very much some things that you would need to do and have knowledge of and have a system built in your area in case everything collapses. Because see, that's another very large focus of our big local prepper type community is to build our own systems. To build our own systems in place so when things fall apart or things aren't working properly or whatever, we don't fall under too. We have our own alternative systems in place. And so this was a big aspect of it. We even do security training. And we have the ability to respond and aid local authorities if they needed extra help in security aspects. And so just about every area does that. We also have a training area. So part of our emergency response team, we do training. We do not just training for us as responders, but training for the community. And that's where we also incorporate how to garden, how to can, how to graft apple trees, all that kind of stuff. And so we've been working on this for a while, getting everything, T's crossed, I's dotted, that kind of stuff, doing it really good. And we've got a very robust team. In fact, the amount of people that we have on our team actually outnumbers the local fire department and almost nearly outnumbers the local sheriff's department. Especially if you add in all of our support staff, part of our team, then we pretty much do. So that's part of it. That's a big part of this new announcement is to kind of explain that. And I think that, and without going into the weeds and all the details, I think doing something like that in a local group, you're not just having meetings and talking about what you've got to do to prepare as a group, right? We're actually doing it. We're actually going out in the field, we're actually training, and not only are we training, but then we're going out into the real world and putting that training to use by offering aid in search and rescue and fires, wildland fires, medical calls, disaster relief, a tornado comes through. Because here's the thing, and I've said this many times before, there is absolutely zero guarantee that if everything falls apart, or when everything falls apart, that you will ever need your pew-pews. You may not. You might, but depending on the area and the situation, it may not actually happen that way. But I can guarantee you that you will need to eat. I can guarantee you you will need water. I can guarantee you or someone in your group is going to get sick or injured. There's going to be fires, there's going to be tornadoes, there's going to be ice storms. We have one right now. I'm in the middle of an ice storm right now. It's getting better, it's starting to kind of melt off. But those kind of things happen. Accidents. And the more people have to go outside and do things, cut their own wood, garden, butcher their own animals, do things that are more self-sufficient as homesteaders, and it's going to become more that way because we're compelled to survive, right? So we're going to have to do that. Then the probability of people becoming injured, ill, things like that are going to become even more and more. We're not going to just be a community that lives inside our homes anymore. And so there is going to be a need for people that can respond. The people that are already trained and working to respond to those kind of calls can also be the kind of people that can respond in aid to defense and other things. So it all really works together beautifully. So anyways, a couple of weeks ago, we kind of got to the point that we felt it was enough for us to branch out and to, there had been small, very tiny, casual conversations with some of the local county leaders and agencies, but nothing official. So I decided it was time to make a leap of faith and do that. I'll be honest with you. I was hesitant, and that human side of me that we sometimes need to ignore. I thought that it wasn't going to happen. I was allowing that fear and that discouragement to come into my heart, my mind. And I was driving, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. What if you're all wrong? What if they're not going to laugh at you? What if they aren't going to think you're a bunch of crazy extremists or whatever? What if they're going to welcome you with open arms because they need the help and they see the value that you and your people can add to the community? So I made contact with the local fire department, ended up speaking with the chief and the assistant chief. We scheduled a meeting and went into that meeting unsure of exactly what we were even going to talk about. I was just invited to come talk to them at their office. And got into the office talking to them, and the conversation was moving much more rapid than I expected. And so they invited our team to come onto the department as an auxiliary. The department that covers the area that I live in and stuff. It is one of the largest fire districts in the state of Missouri, certainly the largest one in the county that I live in. And it's very underfunded and undermanned, and it's not their fault, it's just how things are out here in the rural parts of the country. And so they asked if our team would be willing to be part of the fire department as an auxiliary. Our organization, a nonprofit, is going to exist on its own, but we will be attached to the fire department. They invited me to actually officially join the fire department since I command the team, and that way I can be as a liaison, and they promoted me to an officer within the fire department. And of course, it's all still volunteer. There's no money being made or anything like that. Well, in our conversations, as a team, we try to find a place to train and to work and to meet and to do things. And of course, we want to be able to respond and have equipment as we have been gathering our own personal equipment. And so they said, you know what? In our district, we have 3 fire stations. One of them has been sitting unused for a few years because we don't have the staff, we don't have the volunteers, we don't have the money or anything to run that station, and it needs some repairs, and we just can't do it. If your organization, now that you're attached to the fire department, would like to move into that building and kind of take it over and fix it up and use it as yours, and to meet in it, to train in it, to deploy out of it, you are more than welcome, and you have our blessing. So I am standing in that very building. and we've been in here for a couple of weeks now, doing stuff, kind of organizing the stuff that you have seen as I'm wiggling the camera around. Most all of this stuff was already in here. It was just kind of scattered. The place was a mess. We've cleaned it out, surface cleaning it, but there's still a lot of work to be done, and I'm gonna walk around and show you a few things, and we'll talk about this for a little bit, about our plans and goals. This truck was given to the department years ago. We're still not sure, the department's not sure about what we're gonna do with it. Engine runs fine, but the brakes are locked up and there's a leak. It's a pumper truck and there's a leak in that, so we're unsure exactly what to do. But anyway, so there's this. This is kind of the office side of things, and it looks really rough, and it's partly because we've already started some demolition of it. It's not a very big building. This was the bathrooms, and because it had been closed up for so long, mice and actually a squirrel's nest had gotten in here, and so we demoed the walls. The structure part's fine, but we took all the walls out. We're going to kind of redo that. It did have a place at one time, and again, excuse the mess, for a kitchen area. There's hookups for sink and a stove and a refrigerator and all that kind of stuff. That we're getting, someone's already donated. This is the old one. We're getting rid of that, and we're getting a new one that's, or not a nice new used one donated. So we'll be putting all this back together, kind of changing this up a little bit, making it more useful for our purposes, and we will be not manning this station 24/7, but some of our people are able to donate their time, as in a day or two a week, and so we're hoping to be able to man this station on a somewhat regular basis, not just because it's needed for response, but because if you hear that noise, yeah, that's that. I'll explain that in just a minute. But because we're right in the middle of kind of this small little community. There's a school right next to us, very tiny school, less than 100 and I think 70 or 80 children. And so it really looks good, not just for the department, but for our organization to be right next to the school and to be able to function most of the time on a regular basis and offer assistance and education and stuff like that. So there's a lot here that we can do, but there's a lot of work too. This furnace, we're pretty sure the thermocoupler's bad. We got it to fire up, but the burner won't burn, and so we're trying to get someone to come in that would donate their time and effort to try to get that running properly. These overhead doors, as you can see, they're leaking. They're just deteriorating is all it is. They've been hit a few times, people pulling out. This one won't really open because half of the rollers are busted off of it. That one over there, the springs are messed up. It takes 2 or 3 guys to open and close it. So we're hoping to come up with the money to replace these. That's gonna be a pretty good, big expense. Obviously fix the heating. We're working on all the plumbing. It had frozen and the plumbing busted. So we have a plumber in our group and he came in and we've ripped it all out. We're gonna replace all the plumbing. We're gonna paint in here, build a bunch of cabinets, shelving on that side to store our gear. This open area, once it's cleaned up, will be a place for us to meet and do training, kind of like a big training room, just that day. We'll have an office over here. We are, our organization, we've already, because one of the people in our group, he's an American Red Cross, American Heart Association, I can't remember what it's, the National Association or something of Surgeons. He's an instructor for all those. So our group is now an official provider of American Red Cross and American Heart Association training. So we are already scheduling training events for other agencies that, they need that. And so we'll be training them. We now have our own dispatch app. We're not, as a group, because we're private, we're not dispatched through the county 911. They dispatch me. I have a county radio, so they get a hold of me through that or through the county app. They dispatch me, I get the call tones, and then I turn around and dispatch my team. And so I met today with the company that does that, but their app can be customized and they are doing that, their software. so that it's customized to like search and rescue and disaster response and all that. So we will be having an actual emergency dispatch computer and application to be using that. I know I'm saying a lot. There's a lot going on. Some of you may be asking, well, what exactly do you guys do? What exactly is this emergency response team? Some of you are familiar with what FEMA calls their CERT team, which is Citizens Emergency Response Team. And that was the first thing I looked at when we were coming up with this. And they have some good things that they do, but it's kind of watered down. And really those CERT teams are kind of more designed to work in areas where they have most of the agency support that's needed, and it's just people that want to volunteer. Out here it's different. There isn't enough agency support. They're just not big enough. They're not funded enough. They don't have enough manpower. So we needed to be more robust, and so that's why we've started our own thing. We have people that are emergency medical people. Some of them are retired. Some of them are currently active as a paramedic or an EMT, and they're volunteering, time with us. We have firefighters, former firefighters. We're going through wildland firefighter training the next 30 days, something like that. I can't remember this exact schedule. We have search and rescue guys. Myself and many others have gone through certifications over the last, acquired several certifications over the last few months for different type of mountain rescue and search and rescue. We have people that are assigned to just disaster relief, so for tornado, an ice storm, a flood, whatever, we can set up disaster stations. We can, provide blankets and waters and all that kind of stuff and go out, and then we have teams that can go out and remove debris and help rebuild. We of course do educational stuff. I already mentioned that. So we're teaching our community also, getting into the local schools, teaching children first aid stuff. And then also, and this was actually a big request from talking with the local agencies, is knowing that we are a prepper group. They really wanted us to do training on a broader scale in the area for emergency preparedness. They wanted us to teach the community, and they would be encouraging that. So we're also working on just general classes to the public. These may not be necessarily preppers. They're just people in the public that want to become more prepared, because, and that may seem strange to you where you're living, but if you're familiar with how it is out here, you just generally have to be more prepared. Like I said, there's not a lot of public services for people, and you have to, the roads don't get plowed in time, the power goes out much more often, that kind of stuff. And so teaching the local community how they can be better prepared for emergencies will also equip them to be better prepared for major collapses. And the authorities, the agency directors and chiefs and stuff I've spoken with, they're very much in line with how we think. And so it's exciting to have that kind of legitimacy and approval and blessing. And there's so much, things are moving so fast. If you've noticed the last couple of weeks, my videos haven't been quite as normal. A lot of videos in the truck. And it's because I'm very busy. Whether it's this building or doing something else, I'm starting it's like a full-time job. I get up, I leave early in the morning. Sometimes I'm not back till dinner time or so, or I'm back and forth. Meetings all day long at times with people on our team, other people within the departments. There's just a lot going on. And we've had several work days, almost every day in the past week. We've had people from our group here doing different things, working on the building. And so there's just a lot going on, and it's really exciting. It is super exciting because we're actually taking that, we're making the prepping and the things that we talk about and putting to practical use. We're doing the medical stuff. We're doing the search and rescue. We're teaching people how to be more self-sufficient. We're doing it ourselves. We're just the fact that we as a nonprofit are doing this is as a separate organization, that in itself is a form of self-sufficiency. We're not relying on tax dollars. We're not relying on the state. We're not relying on the feds. We're not even relying on the county government money. We're doing this as an organization, as just individual volunteers. And that right there is self-sufficiency. And so it's exciting, and I wanted you to know, kind of give you an update. I'm sure as this goes along, videos will be slightly different here and there, not all the time, but occasionally. So I wanted you to know what what if you're wondering, like, why is he talking about this? Why is he doing this? This is possibly why. Just a lot of stuff going on. We are doing a fundraiser. I know you're probably thinking, oh, this whole video just to get to this. I don't want anyone to feel obligated. We are doing a fundraiser because we are self-funding this whole project. There's not really the money in any of the budgets, with the department to fund this. So we are funding this. If you would like to be involved in that, there's going to be a link in the description and pinned comment that you can donate, because there's things like these garage doors. These are not cheap. They're 12-foot doors. They're not cheap, so, or they're 10 or 12-foot doors, I can't remember now. And so that needs to be fixed. On the outside, the reason why it's leaking, a lot of the trim on the outside is gotten messed up and destroyed. There's a roof leak, not terribly big deal, but we will have to fix that. And then of course, this stuff, getting this working, getting the plumbing fixed, getting the lumber bought, getting some equipment that we need in here. These are all things that we want to do, and to be able to give back to our community. It's just a labor of love. It's not, there's certainly no profit in this at all. This is just, I know it looks bad. We got a paint in here. There's the roof leak. Well, it's weird. We found out what the reason is. That's not going to be too big of a deal. It's got a metal roof. For some reason in that area, someone just used regular old nails to nail down the roof. And of course, they've kind of popped up, and that's where it's leaking. But, we need some lights replaced in here. See, those aren't working. Whoop. That one's not working. Probably need a few more over here. Just stuff like that. Eventually, we want to have our own vehicle. Right now, we're using our own personal vehicles. If you've noticed my video where I've equipped my personal vehicle with that little truck topper and everything, yeah, that's the point. That's a vehicle that I would respond in. It'd be nice to have our own vehicle, not a big fire truck like this because we don't need it, but some type of rescue vehicle for our emergency response team. All that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in donating, like I said, there will be a link that you can click on to do that, to kind of help us out, get us going a little bit faster. But anyways, if you have information because you are interested in potentially doing this in your area, certainly get a hold of me. One of our long-term goals, and when I say long-term, I'm talking 6 to 9 months. Me and a couple of guys have been putting this all together, and we're trying to create kind of like a little handbook so that folks like you, maybe you have a little prepper group and you're out in the rural parts of the country and you're like, man, my area needs that. We could do that. That way we could kind of send you this and say, this is how we did it. This is what we're doing, and maybe it'll work for you. That way you're not out there trying to reinvent the wheel. Anyways, this is so exciting. I don't even know how to explain it anymore. We've already gotten some amazingly positive feedback from the local community around here. There's been a couple of people that have come to me and they're wanting to volunteer on our team, and so that's being worked out. It's amazing, and the thing that we're able to do is just we're giving back to the community. We're helping. I've had so many people. I had a lady tell me just last week, she was talking about her grandmother that lives in her house. She takes care of her grandmother, and they had to call 911 because she was having a heart attack, and because there's so few people, they were all out on another call, and it was almost 3 hours before anyone was able to respond to her home. And her grandmother almost passed away. She didn't, but she almost did. And just having more people that are capable of responding, well, that's what we're doing. Not just search and rescue, not just disaster, response, but like I said, we have a paramedic, a couple of EMTs, I'm a first responder, and we have people that can actually go and help stabilize the situation until the paramedics get there. And so that's exciting to be able to do that for the community. And if you're able to help in any way, please consider doing so, because this is a big project. This is huge. It really is, especially for our community. And I just wanted you to be involved in it, either through just knowing about it, and if you want to become more involved, you're welcome to do that also. Anyway, sorry about the extended video today. I know I just talked and talked and talked, but there's so much, and there's things I haven't even covered, because there's just so much. There's so much I haven't even covered, but probably occasionally I'll talk more. If you want to know more, if you go to my locals, that's preparedhomestead.locals.com. And there's links below for that too. That's my membership. It's $3 a month, or I think $30 a year, so $33. I don't remember. It's not that expensive, and I try to post videos over there most every day. And that's where I have been doing regular updates. So I do 1 or 2 videos a week of what we're doing, kind of giving you the rundown. So if you want to stay updated more regularly, you could also go join that group, and that the money's going there is also is contributed to this. So anyways, it's probably about all for today, because we've already hit 30 minutes, but it's exciting, and got so much stuff going on here, and good things happening, and I wanted to let you know and bring you in on it, so that you can share the journey with us, and potentially even replicate it in your area, because this is a great way for you to give back and also become more prepared and more self-sufficient in your area, and then your whole area is more prepared, because the stronger the bonds are locally in your community, where they're not dependent on outside sources, the more prepared people are in your community, then the less likelihood that there's going to be a more noticeable collapse in your local area, and less likelihood that things kind of fall apart, because people will pull together. If they see value, that's a big thing. You know, if people, a lot of times, if they don't see value in something, they don't put any effort into it. If it's their local community, or maybe a church, or some kind of group, you know, if they see that it's not doing anything, then maybe they feel, I'm not going to waste my time with that. But if they see value in it, if they see things being done, if they see community involvement, if they see activity, then people, well, they're more attached to it, and they're more likely to do more to keep it that way. So when things fall apart, the community is more likely to pull together and to make it through whatever it is that we face. And so there's like really no negative to any of this. And I just want to encourage you all to, you know, think about doing the same thing. Folks, you need to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.